Network.
Pues el tener un hogar es para mantener mi familia unida, que para mi esposo y yo pues es todo, porque pues he trabajado para eso.
We felt secure. We had a sense of owning something, having the part of the American dream. Our home meant everything to us. It was our savings. It was our children's future.
Millions of homeowners losing their property, their marriage destroyed, breaking families. Enough is enough.
Yo estoy apoyando la campaña de Bernie Sanders porque pues como no solo yo, sino que más personas como yo que hemos perdido las propiedades.
I believe in Bernie Sanders because he believes in us.
Soy Bernie Sanders y apruebo este mensaje.
Morning, everybody.
They're one of the Wall Street banks that triggered the financial meltdown.
Seriously?
Goldman Sachs.
Stop. I hit stop. I really did. Sorry, everybody. I had a new media thing going on this morning, trying to do some different things. Gonna switch to different audio. That's the new Sanders ad that just came out, obviously targeting Latinos, and I'm not even gonna go there. I was watching it for the first time earlier today, and I just sat back and thought to myself how ashamed I am. How ashamed I am of being a white privileged man in the United States of America. I don't even call myself a good Christian, right? I'm not a Christian. I would never take that. I would never take that title. I don't like that. But I look at the nation that likes to prefer to be called themselves a Christian nation, even though we were based on the idea of no religion, freedom of religion, freedom from religion, in all truth. And I say we don't act at all that way. We don't act at all like Christianity as it's talked about in the Bible as Jesus supposedly preached, right? But we do act just like the organized religion Christianity. If you look at the history of their 2,000 years of torture and atrocities on mankind, you realize that the United States of America really has functioned very much like the religion. When you take something that is beautiful and you put it in the hands of greedy white men, it becomes distorted and ugly and morphed. And that's what happened with our government. Our government was this beautiful construct. And we let it get into the hands of greedy, privileged white men and stay there too long. We didn't do our jobs. We didn't maintain the democracy. And now we've got a government full of elitist assholes that don't care about you or me. Even though I'm a white privileged man, really I'm an unemployed man, so I have no value to the establishment. I'm a moocher. I'm a welfare moocher. I'm not taking welfare, but that's all I am, right? Latinos, they fall even farther down on the scale. The 1% have a scale. They've created a class society. They've created that within America. But, oh, look, we have somebody else coming in. Nico, you're choosing to join. Nice to have you in, Nico. Let me just say hi to everybody today. I got started really quick. Hi, guys. Didn't know what, Jesse? We didn't know. Well, I don't know. I kind of did. Anyway, I didn't want to start by completely ragging on Christianity because the people make their own choices. Okay?
You can call yourself a Christian. If Donald Trump can, then.
Thanks, Scott. If
You've
Trump
been
can call
willing to
himself
fight the Pope.
the Pope had a few things to say about that. The Pope basically, and I didn't even cover that article, but yeah, the Pope said, I don't find anything. His basic comment was, anybody that talks about building walls and not bridges is certainly not Christian. That was the statement from the Pope, and I thought, that's, anybody that talks about building walls and not bridges as a politician, not a Christian and shouldn't be a politician. All right, nobody in this world is interested in building walls anymore. I'm sorry, and those that are, you're not doing it for the good of mankind. You're not doing it for the good of all. You're doing it for the good of an elitist few, and we're not gonna do that anymore. We're not playing that game anymore. That game doesn't work with the 99%. We also have Sean in here, Nico in here, not a whole bunch of people in here today, and man, what do we got? 73 plus watching right now. 116 playbacks. Thank you for joining us. We have a lot of, thanks, Duke. I realize I'm not responsible for nations' policies and that I'm fighting the good fight. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We're all here fighting the good fight. But I could have started 20 years ago. I could have started 25 years ago. 25 years ago, I was growing my hair and seeing just how many drugs I could put into my body at one time, right? I could have been doing something more. I look at kids like Eddie, who's 15, who's concerned about his environment, concerned about his government, and spending time with us. I look at young people like Sean here. Yeah, I'm calling you young, and Nico, and Scott. Sorry, you're my age or more, but we're old people. We don't want to do this, but I look at other people. I go, damn, I could have started earlier. We could have started earlier, and I know we can't look at the past, but it makes me when I get so angry, and we're going to talk about anger, we're going to talk about the changes that are happening in the newsroom and why. We're going to make some changes to the newsroom. Hi, everybody. Looking at your comments. We're going to make some changes to the newsroom because things are changing within the campaign. Bernie Sanders is the front runner at this point, and we have to shift what we're doing. I've had a couple emails from some people, very, very direct, basically saying, and good morning, Lyle, basically saying, at this point, the language, here's what it comes down to, because Sean said this in chat. I said there was another reason, so, okay, back up. I'm talking about a lot of shit at once. I am going to work on changing this show from what it was originally meant to be in this current form, which was a triage, ER, get it out, raw version of here's the news, here's where Bernie's going to be so we can move on. I'm going to reshape it to be more competitive with traditional news. We're going to clean it up and make sure that while freedom of speech is acknowledged, because I'm going to say what I want to say, we're going to take the language out of it because it has to appeal to everybody. And I don't think I need to use a lot of F-bombs and a lot of other words that I would prefer to use, honestly, because I don't know how else to represent the rage, the anger that I have. These words, these expletives, really just, to me, take care of the rage and anger in a lot better way than some other words. But therein lies the challenge of a journalist, a good one, or a good anchor, a good anybody on stage. How do you get the message across? The anger, the passion, the enraged feelings. How do you get that across without also being offensive? Right? And maybe you can't. Maybe in some ways the goal at the end is to drop that F-bomb, is to say that word that is offensive, to catch people off guard, to make them go, oh, damn, he really is mad. But if I use these words all the time, then I lose that effect. I didn't have the energy, I didn't have the time, I didn't have the, honestly, I didn't have the energy. I've been so depleted as of late, just from all that we're trying to do, that to me it really wasn't important. It's like, look, I'm here, we're volunteering, we're getting the news out, this is happening. But when you get emails of people saying, I really love what you do, I wish you just didn't add all that other crap into it. And I thought, well, it is just adding crap. You're right, I can do that. And then when you get other emails that say, what happens, and this is where the big change, Sean, this is what I was talking about. And folks, I'm just talking about what one person emailed to me, but it made me think. This doesn't mean that I think I'm going to go run for office or anything, but I'm just going to tell you. Somebody sent me an email and said, so what would happen right now, John, if somebody called you and said, we'd like you to run against this person? Do you think you could run? And I was like, well, no, I don't think so. I mean, a lot of people have talked about do this office, do that office, but no, I don't think I'm a right person to represent. I don't think I'm clean enough. I don't think I'm polished enough. I don't think I'm professional enough, right? These are all just things on me because of the way I talk the news and the way I say things. And there's that balance between being raw, being who you are, and making sure you can deliver a message to a wide audience. And I said, geez, I never thought about it that way. I never thought about serving my country and how am I best serving my country in this capacity. So what it made me realize is that I have never before really given a shit about running for any office or government or even cared about that kind of stuff. Who would want to in the government that we have, right? But now that we have Bernie Sanders, now that we know that government can be changed, now that we are changing, we're in the process of changing, we're electing Bernie-crats, right? We're supporting Bernie-crats. When somebody comes to me and says, you're now a representative of the people. Doesn't matter how you think of it, John. You're standing here in front of a camera. You've got people watching you, talking to you. You've got people that respect what you say, and you've got people that are concerned about the way you deliver your message because they've told you that it's important, that what happens here with everybody, what goes on here is important. Well, that's where the burden of responsibility and professionalism and what's the best for Bernie hits me. And so in the interest of working with everyone, right? Tim Black, who I'm going to talk to later today, a gentleman named Ezra, who's got the Iowa Climate Caucus Coalition thing that we're going to look at streaming. Other people that I've talked to about doing shows with, Sane Progressive and Benjamin Dixon and other people. I thought, you know, I watch their shows, I watch what they're doing, and I think they're just far and above more professional than what I've got going on here. And there's no reason why we can't all work together in that way. I just need to stop being so crude. Right? So in the interest of serving the people, in the interest of serving the greater good, I'm more than willing to adjust my presentation so that more people can enjoy it. And I'm more than willing to adjust my demeanor, me, to be able to serve this country because I actually want to now. And this is a personal testimony that I told my father before. I said, how could you ever want to work for the government? My dad worked for the government for 40 years. All his life he's worked for the government. I said, I don't know how you would do that. This government sucks. Well, government sucks because nobody wants to get in and change it. So if I have to change myself a little bit, grow up a little bit, put on a tie, not say the F word as much, so that I can help my country, that's a very small price to pay. So that's why we'll be changing that. Anybody want to comment on that before I move on to actual news?
That's probably a pretty big shock to lots of people. It would probably seem like a pretty big evolution that you've made over the last couple of days. But this is something that we've been talking about a lot here. So
it is. And just to answer comments, guys, I did not say that I was going to stop cursing. My goal. Bill Maher pulls it off. He drops an F-bomb every once in a while. Bill Maher could probably run for office, don't you think? I don't know. I think Bill Maher would have a great chance if in the right place in the right state if he left the show. Absolutely, I'd vote for him. So look, I'm gonna still use cuss words. I may even create a whole nother show, just late night with John, so I can rant and scream and whatnot. But it's got to be done. Things have to be done differently, right? If I'm going to work with people like Tim Black and Ezra and Sane Progressive, Ben Dixon, all these other people that have really honed their professional shows, I have to shift what we were doing here. And the original purpose of this place, still the number one purpose, is to chase Bernie and to bring you Bernie Sanders as often as we can. And we've got an event today Scott's going to be at. There's party, music, thing going on tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific. Bernie's going to be there, and we'll be broadcasting that. Tomorrow I'll be doing an all-day streamathon for the caucus. That's always going to happen, and that's going to be what it is because it's organic, and we have lots of people involved and come in and out, and that's it. But the shows that we create together, the newsroom, Global Edition, I don't know, with the other shows, We the People, Native Life, these shows, Disability TV, right? I want all of those shows, these shows, to be examples of the best. And so for all of those, we're going to work on it's a completely different thing, new standard, new way. So
yeah, I agree with that move, John, for sure. Personally, the way I look at it from like a more selfish, point of view is just for myself. I'm out there shopping around. I'm very proud of doing all this, and I'd love to be able to point to the newsroom as something I work on, but I can't do that with necessarily everyone. I'm trying out. I'm applying for the Seattle Times. It's not the first thing I'm pointing them to at this point. So,
right.
But I'd like to in the future be able to say, hey, yeah, I've been part of this news show. The biggest part about this is the fact that you're here every day. You're not taking weekends off. That is huge. That is the biggest step to starting one of these shows, is the fact that you've decided just one day randomly, you were thinking about it, you're thinking about it, fine, I'm going to do it, and I'm sticking to it no matter how good it is or how bad it is. And now we've come to the point where, yeah, we can do it, we can pull it off every day. Now we're going to step our game up a little bit.
Right. Yeah, and there was a couple weeks in there, or at least a good solid week in there, where I didn't realize just how much this was going to take out on me.
Yeah.
So a lot of the, I laughed when I saw, when I look back at it, I go, Jesus, man, you do look like a junkie. You look like shit. You sound like shit. And it's just because I had no idea. I mean, I get up at 6, I put the show together, I take care of animals, I take care of things in the house. We run the show from 9 to 10:30, and then after that it's chasing Bernie, and then I stop chasing Bernie at like 9 p.m. at night unless we have some late gig going. And in between, I'm doing Twitter and other things. Yeah. So yeah, I've had to adjust my schedule and everything so that we can, really what it was, Sean, is figuring out what's important. What's important? Is this important? Does this matter? What do we need to do this? Listening to what everybody had to say, looking at the, you don't have to appeal to everybody, but Bernie's message that, well, and here's the thing. I just want to say that, to me, in order to do this right, we have to just amplify Bernie's message, right? Bernie's not dropping F-bombs. Bernie will cuss every once in a while, right? So I figure we just do that, right? Be the best Bernie you can be.
Yeah, and you don't even have to necessarily align it with the Sanders campaign. Essentially, it's just telling the truth, being honest, and showing a real, telling a narrative around everything. Don't be like, local news where it's just story, and you're never talking about policy or politicians, and what they have to do with it. So, it's just the idea of being an all-encompassing news show and giving people not only what they expect, but things they didn't expect that we think they should know.
Yeah, I agree. And what I want to do most, that we already do in spades, that is not done with network television at all, right? Traditional network television, establishment television, is the rawness, the real-time rawness, openness, and honesty. Because everything that you see on TV, folks, and you probably all know this, but I just got to say it because I have encountered people that don't. Even when you watch a reality show, okay, and I have been on sets of reality shows. I have worked with reality stars, okay. They follow a reality family around or reality whatever around. All of that is scripted. All of that is produced. Even what looks like it just happened, okay. There is no such thing as a raw reality show. Doesn't exist. Okay? Welcome to staged reality. So everybody that watches these shows, Hoarders and Naked and Afraid and Stupid and Alone or whatever they are, the shows that they create, every piece of that is scripted, right? And cuts are done over and over and over again to make it seem it's the biggest lie you've ever seen. And the goal of engagement broadcasting was to remove the bullshit. and let people have a real conversation, raw. Here's my real feelings. There's no edits. There's no cuts. Let's have a talk about that. All right. So anyway, we're going to do that with this network. So glad you guys are all here today. Lots of people watching. What do we got? We got 105 plus, 216 playbacks. Now let's get into some real news, folks. Let's get into some real news. Quickly, our website. A couple things on the website. Not only do we have the support button, support this channel in the upper right there, support this channel, but folks, if we scroll down, we have some new playlists. I took some time to go grab rallies, all the Bernie Sanders rallies from channels 1 and 2. So you'll see here there's about 30 of them from August through October, and then here's another one that kind of splits June to September. We've basically, here's 30 or plus live events from each channel now as playlists. Go find some of those old events. You'd be surprised at where they are and how many people were at these old events, these big rallies. The audio and the video may not be the best, but share those out. Remind everybody just how many rallies he's done. And this isn't all of Bernie's rallies. This is just the ones that we managed to grab a feed for and broadcast for you guys. So go there, do that. Moving on from that, we touched on this yesterday, and I know this is where Scott can come in and Sean can come in with some political analysis, but here, so Bernie Sanders surges ahead of Hillary Clinton for the first time in new national poll. It was a Fox News poll, and as they say here, it may be an outlier, but polling averages from Real Clear Politics show that basically Clinton's trending downwards, folks. Sanders trending upwards. Do you remember, guys, months ago we called that the Jaws? It was the Jaws of Sanders or something like that. Basically, it's closing right there, folks. That's what's going on. And then I just want to remind everybody that we did hear Keith Ellison say specifically there were more on the way. All right? There were more on the way. I think the Sanders campaign is very smart with endorsements. They have more endorsements, really, than the Clinton campaign. Certainly more human being endorsements. Bernie Sanders wins the backing of African-American group in Nevada's largest county. Scott, Sean, you guys want to talk about this? You know anything about this? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, well, just that the Black Caucus of Clark County, which is where Las Vegas is, endorsed Bernie. Really, the Nevada caucus is a two-part race. It's Las Vegas and Reno. There's small towns in between, but that's where all the voters are, in Las Vegas and Reno. So, and a lot of people talk about Nevada being more conservative, but maybe it's changed a lot in the last 20 years. But I remember Jesse Jackson won Nevada, Jerry Brown won Nevada, and back then there was a strong rainbow coalition in Reno that would put progressives over the top. But that was 20 years ago, so I'm not sure if it's still that way. But I think it's a big endorsement. Yeah.
So this is a big endorsement. This is huge.
Huge.
he keeps saying that really is going to be the moniker of this campaign. What are we doing next? What's next? What's Bernie's next huge policy? Right?
It's catchy too. My daughter literally walks around saying our little outro that we had, the huge, all the time, just randomly. So it catches the kids feel the burn.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's when it's a feel-good people's movement, it's different. I've never experienced this, and Scott, maybe you experienced this a long ago with some other candidate, but I certainly haven't ever experienced anything to this nature with a candidate that just really actually appealed to the people so well, all the people, you know.
But I always knew that the candidate I was backing was going to lose in the end before.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that because my dad, when I told him that I was doing this back in late May, early June, I said, Dad, have you heard of Bernie Sanders? I'm going to use my engagement broadcasting stuff. Nobody wants to buy it, and I don't have a job, so I'm just going to do this for Bernie Sanders, and we'll see what happens, but he's going to be president. The guy's amazing. Have you heard what he has to say? My dad was like, okay, son, I'm glad you're involved with politics now, but Bernie doesn't have a chance in hell, just like all the other people that try to run on goodness and truth. Good for trying. All right, that was basically the message I got.
Well,
And now,
there was actually one progressive candidate that I was involved in that won, and that was Paul Wellstone. But any other campaign was always destined to lose in the end.
yeah, agreed. I want to read this to you guys because it's really kind of funny. Let me zoom in on this. Going to leave Scott up there for a second. Everybody look at Scott. Here, there's check this out. So this is just a little clip from it. With both Democratic presidential candidates stepping up for their appeals to African American voters, Bernie Sanders claimed one victory here just 2 days ahead of the Nevada caucuses. The Clark County Black Caucus, an organization based in Nevada's most populous jurisdiction, announced its support Thursday for Sanders in his contest against Hillary Clinton. Yvette Williams, chairwoman of the caucus, said that Sanders' agenda most closely aligned with that of her nonpartisan group, my favorite part, saying the endorsement of Sanders wasn't a very difficult decision. It's not. It's not a very difficult decision, folks. It really isn't. You look at what he stands for, you look at what Hillary stands for, you just think back, remember Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in the 90s, particularly if you're a minority. I don't know personally. I was an ignorant person in the 90s. I have no idea. But everything I read, everything I know, I remember the policies coming out. I remember 3 strikes. I remember these policies, and I was in jail due to a couple of them actually. But honestly, remember, go back. Tim Black does. I should have pulled up one of Tim Black's pieces, and we should have talked about that. But we're going to move on to something else. We're going to move on to. Let me make sure. Let me make my rundown. Remember, I said I was going to do this better. I was going to make this better. So I have a rundown now that I look at that's supposed to tell me what I'm doing. I never look at it. Right? We talked about fan funding. We talked about what we're changing there. You guys have been donating. Just so you know, it doesn't tell me who. It doesn't tell me anything other than there's money showed up. It doesn't tell me anything about who donated or why or any of that stuff. So I can't acknowledge individuals other than to say, thank you guys for putting like $200 in there so far, and we'll pay some bills with that. Because people have been asking, what are you going to do with that money? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to pay the internet bill, which is like the most important thing that needs to happen here. And then we'll go from there. All right, so thank you very much for that, guys. I need to wear my glasses. I forgot to say this. Yesterday, and I do have them. I had them. Shit, maybe I don't. Yesterday, Ed said he was a blackjack guy. We were talking about gambling. He was a blackjack guy. I didn't read it right. He said, I'm a black guy. Well, thank you for letting us know. Good. Either way, irrelevant. But I couldn't. And then somebody in the comments was like, John needs to wear his glasses. Ed has no. So I apologize deeply. I will wear my glasses more, and I will raise the font size on this so that I actually see it. If you haven't heard, folks, and we're going to play this clip, we talked about the push poll yesterday. We talked about what that was. I think that was actually last night. We had Bernie live at the dinner. Scott brought us a feed from that because we obviously couldn't play the MSNBC. And boy, did Bernie destroy it at the town hall. We'll get you guys' thoughts and feelings on that in a second, because I really thought, I don't think there's any question what a democratic socialist is anymore. Do you? I think Bernie pretty much laid that out. I hope somebody will eventually lay out Chuck Toad, please. I don't know what his deal is. Those questions were ridiculous, but here's the thing: our man answered those questions regardless. That's what I was pleased with. Here's the article I'm talking about, folks. Record suggests Hillary Clinton backers testing attack lines ahead of Nevada caucus. We're going to listen to this recording. What this is This is this is when, instead of, those of you who watch cop shows, right? Watch the cop shows like I don't know, NCIS and Major Crimes and I can't even name them all. Those kind of shows. You see this when the cops go to interrogate somebody, or the detective goes to interrogate somebody, and they ask them leading questions, right? Leading questions that already have some information in them that are already going to frame things for the person answering the questions, putting shit in their head. Right? Cops do this all the time, right? It's a corrupt thing to do, right? But the fact that it's done in politics, the fact that the Hillary campaign is doing this in politics, or is testing these things in politics, whatever, this is absolute bullshit, folks. You don't do these kind of things if you're going to win on honesty and trust and integrity and understanding the values of the people. And quite frankly, I don't know how she becomes the best qualified to be president if she's got to pull shit like this, if she's got to run push polls. So what's scary here? What's scary here is that just listen to what they say. I've got it loaded up to right about where she starts saying here's Bernie Sanders stuff, and then goes off into the Hillary Clinton stuff, and you'll hear the difference. Up until now, all she's done, all that's happened here is they've asked a few basic questions. All right.
Now I'm going to read you statements from Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and after you hear them, please tell me which candidate you are more likely to vote for in the Nevada caucus. Bernie Sanders says, sorry about that. Hillary Clinton says Bernie Sanders is making big campaign promises that will cost up to $20 trillion. As the Washington Post said, quote, realistically, his plans are dead on arrival in Congress. And other independent experts also say his plans are unworkable. That's the recipe for even more political gridlock and budget stalemates that will prevent anything real from getting done that helps you and your family. And Bernie Sanders says, no establishment politician will deliver the big changes we need to rebuild the middle class, and Hillary Clinton has been an establishment politician for decades. She has taken $35 million in speaking fees and contributions from Wall Street and opposes breaking up the big banks. She's part of the establishment that's been rigging the system for billionaires and hollowing out the middle class. Now, after hearing that, once again, if the Democratic presidential caucus in Nevada was held today, would you vote for Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton?
Bernie.
Excellent, Bernie Sanders. Now, I'm going to read you some statements about Hillary Clinton. For each of these statements that I read, please tell me how much more likely it makes you to vote for Clinton as president. Does it make you much more likely, somewhat more likely, a little more likely, or does it make no difference at all? First one, Hillary Clinton has spent a lifetime fighting for families and getting results, winning health care for 8 million children, expanding benefits for the National Guard, and standing up to dictators to advance America's interests. Hillary has the experience to do every part of the job. Does that make you much more likely, somewhat more likely, a little more likely, or no difference at all?
Is less likely an option?
No, sir, it's not.
Then no difference.
Okay, makes no difference at all.
And we're going to stop there because I think you get the point. All right. So the first question, Bernie Sanders has these big plans, and Wall Street says they suck, and these other people say they can't even happen. Still going to vote for it? Hillary Clinton did all these good things. Then she did these other great things. Then she says she's done these great things. Does that change your mind on Hillary? No, not at all. This is the most blatant bullshit, and yes, it deserves an expletive. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You don't hear this kind of stuff coming out of the Sanders campaign. Don't need to do it. Don't need to do it, right? And this follows. We moved, by the way, folks, if you hadn't noticed, we moved into the Hillary bashing segment of the show. But we're going to go back and talk about some other stuff. But I want to bring this up. This was yesterday that I don't think I covered enough. Okay, This was a press release, and there was an article that came out. Basically, what happened is we found out that Robbie Mook, who is one of Hillary's henchmen, I don't know if is he the Tad Devine of Hillary camp? Is that what he is, Scott?
No, he's the campaign manager.
He's the campaign manager. So Robbie Mook is the Jeff Weaver of the Hillary camp, okay? And he met with Wall Street folks, all right? And they're basically, here, I'll read it. It says, the New York Times reported yesterday that in a meeting held with large Wall Street investors' office, big money donors instructed Secretary Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, Robbie Mook, to go after Senator Bernie Sanders for offering so-called unrealistic proposals, the same unrealistic proposals that we heard her in leading questions in that poll, right? These unrealistic proposals, the whole idea of $15 an hour wage, that's ridiculous. Billionaires couldn't afford that, right? Billionaires that aren't even paying taxes, mind you. Billionaires that have stashed all their money in the Caymans. The same billionaires that want to know how they're going to pay their employees $15 an hour. I say you take it right back out of that money you stuck in the Caymans, you greedy jerk. Right? So, and by claiming that all his solutions are related back to millionaires and billionaires, guess what? Bernie Sanders' solutions are related back to the millionaires and billionaires that have taken all of our money, spent it on the military, and put it in their pockets. I'm tired of my tax dollars going to them. Tired of it. All right. So, and then the statement from Jeff Weaver, and then this statement, not surprisingly, those are exactly the attacks that the Clinton campaign is now dutifully lobbying. Well, that's what's going on. We just heard it. We just heard it. When you want to follow the trail, let's see. Wall Street people meet with Clinton's campaign manager, say, attack Bernie Sanders here. Clinton campaign attacks Bernie Sanders publicly here. Wall Street people donate more money to Clinton campaign. It's so blatantly obvious. It's so blatantly obvious. You guys have anything you want to say on that? I want to look at some comments from people. Scott, anybody? Anything?
The robocalls will be coming at some point too.
The robocalls?
Robocalls, especially in bigger states. I once worked for a telemarketing firm in D.C. that had contracts with the DNC. And I remember one time it was just before the vote, and we were calling for Evan Bayh from Indiana. And you couldn't even wait for if the caller wanted to say something, you didn't listen. You just got your spiel out and hung up and went to the next call. And
wow. Yeah. Well,
yeah, one poor guy mispronounced his name a couple times, and they fired him.
Jeez.
And this kind of plays into the whole mainstream media ploy. If they get a hold of someone that's, paying attention to one or two channels on cable news channels, then they're going to be a lot more likely to maybe fall for some of these things. If they get a hold of someone that's on the fence and they're watching MSNBC and they just don't really know, then this can work on some of those people. And so it's kind of that misinformation that's being pumped out kind of helps this cause. So
absolutely. It's so this is a good time to break this. I just want to cover this real quick because I see somebody pulled this up. Somebody was talking about Alan Grayson, and I guess there's some information I'm not aware of. Grayson, we talked about yesterday, was the gentleman who put out a poll on the internet. Said, "You guys tell me, where does my vote go? I'm a superdelegate, right?" But now I'm hearing something, and I want to ask Scott, Sean, maybe you guys know what's going on. I hear something about Grayson and being a former hedge fund manager. Is that worrisome? Is Harry? And then somebody made a comment about Harry Reid running against him or something like that. Am I reading bullshit, or what are we talking about here? What was going on in the comments, guys? What is there anything wrong with Alan Grayson, or anything you find not good about what he's doing?
Harry Reid, Harry Reid's probably supporting his opponent in the Democratic primary.
Okay.
More mainstream than Grayson. Grayson's legitimate progressive, I think. I'm not that worried about Grayson.
Yeah, I have each progressive is still not going to be in such a niche that we're all going to agree on everything. And he's kind of made his way towards progressive, I think. But especially down in Florida, yeah, he's definitely a progressive. That's part of the good fight, I think.
All right, good to know. Let me know, guys. Let me know what's going on. Grayson ran a hedge fund up until late last year.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would say this. Well, I'm certainly not a fan of people who run anything in the financial industry just because I'm not a fan of the financial industry. We can't judge everybody there by that and decide that he's a bad guy, right? The fact that he was willing to open his superdelegate choice to a vote, right alone, makes me think that's progressive, somebody who actually understands that there's a voice on the net, right? I think that all of them should do that. I agree with Scott's caution that it may cause more confusion. It may not be the best way to go. But, you know, it is what it is. I keep forgetting, guys, that I can actually go look at some of the comments that have been stashed here, so I'm going to go do that. Trish, anybody check out Meet Bernie People? Anyone check that out? Meet Bernie People? I have not been to this. No? And then what do we have say here? John, I'm in Salem, Oregon. I've been involved with AA for almost 30 years. Nice, Wendy. Cool. Not for sale, Bernie. You don't have to appeal to everyone, but Bernie's message as well. Yeah, we talked about that. Zox, 1.5 trillion in student debt loan. Texas arresting students in default. Yeah, 1,500 arrest plan. This is. I would agree with that. If the government, if any portion of the government starts arresting students for debt, you can betcha that I will arm myself and I will join whatever militia is formed. That is absolutely wrong. And that demands that the people rise up and fight against a government arresting students for not paying debt. You know who owes that debt? A lot of people. You know who owes that debt? Halliburton. You know who owes that debt? The military. The military-industrial complex can pay that debt. The students of America don't owe any debt. All that debt needs to be absolved because this country is a losing proposition for anybody that pays for college today. There is no point to paying for your education when there are no jobs when you're done. So I swear, if this is, I know I've heard a lot about this, that they're doing this and people are getting arrested. This is where we run into that problem that I have. This is truly, I know this is a weird show because we're going around, but this is where we run into the problem that I have personally. I am a radical. I am somebody who wants to rise up and go literally march into the Capitol, toss people out, right? And say, we're done. We're done with your crap, folks. We don't have time to wait around for you to deliberate. We need to fix things now. And anybody, I just got to say this, anybody, officers of the law, whoever you are out there, hang your heads in shame. You should take off your badges and your guns. You should set them down and realize that you're dickless little wonders if you're arresting students for debt. I have zero respect for any cop. I don't care you're doing your job to pay your bills. Zero. Take a stand. Take a stand as a human being and don't arrest students for debt that they shouldn't owe in the first place for a country that's been broken and been taking their blood, our children's blood, to fight for wars for oil, to put more money in our greedy politicians' pockets. They need to be paying the debt, folks. They need to be paying the debt. Any officer of the law right now arresting students for debt, zero respect. I hope justice comes swiftly to you. And if that's too radical, if that's too angry, if that's too ranty, then I can't do this anymore. Because folks should be enraged. You should all be enraged about this, not complacent, not getting ready to watch Rachel Maddow. Okay? This isn't being televised. This information isn't being televised. This part, this oppression of the American people isn't being televised. Students being arrested for debt. I hope those students arm themselves and fight back. I hope that we form some kind of a group of militia to fight back, because that should not happen. This is where everything breaks down, folks. This is where the voting process, the election process, the democracy breaks down, when you have stuff like this happening right then and there. That is illegal. That is absolutely illegal. I don't understand how it could happen. Hey, Texas, every officer of the law doing this. You are not worthy of your badge or your gun. I'm sorry, I have such little respect for anybody that holds an office of power over others, where that office has been given to them through trust of the people, and they abuse that power. And we know that police officers abuse their power all the time. I've been subject to it. I've been subject to it as a long-haired hippie. I've had myself kneed in the balls by an asshole cop. Okay, I know what it's like. Okay, I have this much respect for anybody that carries a gun and a badge and abuses their power. I don't care who you are, what you do, how many people you've saved. If you abuse your power, you're going to get taken out by the people at some point. That's not radical speaking, folks. That's the people passionately demanding that we change shit now. Okay, so I've gone off about that, but it's abhorrent that this even happens. It's abhorrent that this even happens. I can't believe that. Here's how the National Rifle, just to lighten things up slightly, folks. The National Rifle Association actually helped Bernie get elected one year, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because it speaks to the group mass mob mentality of organizations like this. And the only reason they helped, they basically came in this one year for the election. They've always opposed Bernie Sanders, the NRA has. But this one year, he was the better person to choose other than somebody else. They're like, everybody, go vote for Bernie Sanders, and we'll kick him out of office next time. So that's what happened. They put him in office, and he never got out. So thank you, NRA, at least for this particular instance. I just had to bring that up.
One of the ultimate liberals in the Senate, also from Vermont, Patrick Leahy, and the NRA gives him a better rating than Bernie, so Hillary can. It is a Vermont thing. Howard Dean was a lot better with the NRA than Bernie or Leahy even.
Really? Interesting. Hey, Trish, will the 1 p.m. rally be streamed? I'm not sure. I don't know. That's not the... Scott, do we know anything about the 1 p.m. rally?
It would have to come from the campaign. It's in northern Nevada. There's no way I can get there.
Okay. So guys, if we hear from Jackson today, who's running around with the LU-70, and we don't know where he's at, okay? He's with the grassroots event staff, and he is at their will. Wherever they go, that's where the LU-70 ends up, and that's where we do. This was the best way to get it in the hands. Yes, I want to do a live phone banking show. We could do that tomorrow. Will it help tomorrow? I don't know. Will it help to do phone banking tomorrow? I'm going to do live streaming all day. All right, I'm going to do a morning show, and then we'll come back on at noon and just go all day until, and Scott hopefully will be with us, and Sean and whoever else here, and we'll just go through the results and have a fun time together. But yeah, other than that.
I guess if you do phone banking, it would be South Carolina. Nevada's over at noon.
Okay, really. There you go. There you go. So yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of work in Nevada. Let's take a quick video break. Been all yammering in my mouth for a long time here, and I'm trying to catch up on some comments that are in here. So Dean is now a lobbyist. Somebody just came through. Fear and loathing for Hillary in Las Vegas. Yeah. There is a great chat going on. You guys are great. Good chat. All right, this is I said I was going to play that other because we're still going to play that piece. We're at 9:48. We've got good time. This is the TYT, Young Turks, and this is Final Judgment Democratic Party endorsement. The real reason Hillary has more endorsements than Bernie. We'll see what they have to say here. Be right back.
Lately, more and more organizations have been making their endorsements in the Democratic primary. Very recently, the news was abuzz with both NARAL Pro-Choice America and the Human Rights Campaign both endorsing Hillary Clinton. In fact, the bulk of all of these endorsements by these large influential organizations have been going towards Hillary. But when you look a little bit deeper, there's a pattern that starts to develop. It's very interesting and it's very familiar. You're seeing there organizations on the left who they endorsed in the middle, and their endorsement process on the right. And here's what's so interesting about it. All of the organizations whose executive committees or boards choose who to endorse went for Hillary Clinton. All of the organizations where the actual membership had an open vote went for Bernie Sanders. Interesting that. Now, why should that matter, okay? Well, let's take a look at an example of one of the people making these choices on the Executive Council, the sort of leadership choice of who to endorse. Clinton got an endorsement from the Human Rights Campaign. I mentioned that earlier. That decision was made not by a vote of the HRC's membership list, but instead by a 32-member executive board that includes Mike Berman, the president of a lobbying firm that works for Pfizer, Comcast, and the health insurance lobby. That's just one of the 32 members on just one of these organizations, who, if they had conducted an open vote with their actual membership, almost certainly would have had to endorse Bernie Sanders if the example of those who did do that is anything to go by. So it might seem like these people are choosing Hillary Clinton regardless of what she actually stands for, but it's actually the exact opposite of that. They're choosing her because of what she stands for, and what she stands for is giving the highly placed establishment, lobbying, and executive board members exactly what they want, and they know that because they've been working with her for decades at this point. Bernie Sanders, he's sort of new in terms of having to deal with these people, and they don't know how much they could trust him, but Hillary Clinton, that's a sure bet. Now, of course, these groups are free to endorse whoever they want, but if you're going to report on the endorsements, then call it like it is. The organizations didn't endorse Hillary Clinton. The organization's leadership did. And that's my final judgment.
Yep, that's another example of what happened with the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. The Congressional Black Caucus didn't vote. It was the board of the PAC, which included 11 lobbyists and only 9 members of the Black Caucus. Oh, the audio's off.
You're muted, John.
Oh, my bad. Sorry,
There
guys.
you go.
I was. Hard to tell. The green bar was moving, but only for Scott. Apologies. I can't hear myself. What was I babbling about? I don't know. Totally caught me off guard there when that happens. I just go back and forth. Oh, I know what I was saying. This is the first time we've actually heard somebody define it. All of these organizations that were board decisions, Hillary. All of these organizations that were people-driven decisions, Bernie Sanders. Okay.
And I'm not convinced that it's only endorsements because of what Hillary promises them. I think there's also some strong-arm tactics where it's, if you don't endorse, when you come to me, I'm going to remember that.
Well, wasn't there already a threat? Didn't we already see some articles come out about people basically, she has a hit list or a list of, something like that? I mean, you know this stuff exists. We've heard people joke about it, but you know it exists. I'm going to remember that. It's all about favors, right? Remember what I did for you back here?
A lot of times the unions wait until there's a clear nominee, but the ones that didn't wait, I'm convinced it's because they're afraid they'll lose a place at the table, and if they don't.
It's I noticed somebody talking. It's funny. And somebody just mentioned Bernie's paid speaking fees. Yeah, what was it? A total like $3 or $4 grand, and there was donations to charity out of that money. I mean, come on. There's no comparison, folks. There's no comparison there in terms of what people. Here's the coolest thing ever. Okay, here, just check this out. This is the coolest thing ever. Sanders raised $16 million from the unemployed and retired, and that includes me. Okay, I listed myself every time I donate. I list myself as unemployed because I am, and this is what we do, folks. This is the power of us. There's a little bit more in this article about, and it ties in nicely with what we're talking about here. It really defines the truth. Let me see if I can just find that spot here.
Yeah, one thing in there is Bernie's raised more money than any Republican candidate.
Exactly. Exactly. It's ridiculous. A major chunk of Bernie Sanders' record fundraising is coming from an unlikely source: people without jobs. Sanders raised more than $16 million in 2015 from more than 235,000 people who identified themselves as either unemployed or retired. This is according to the filings of the FEC. Almost all of it has come through Act Blue. Right? That's another thing that was unknown. How that Act Blue was going to be this powerful for them. Sanders has raised more money than any candidate, Republican or Democrat, except for Hillary. And he's done it while railing against the billionaire class and their influence on politics. Nearly 3/4. This is where it gets important. When Hillary's out there saying, well, we've got 750,000 individual donations. You're full of shit. Here's maybe, but let's look at the real data here, okay? Nearly 3/4 of the 73 million that the self-declared Democratic Socialist has raised has come from donations of $200 or less. In contrast, of the 108 million Clinton has raised, 708 million came from small donors, and I'm not even sure what a small donor meaning $200 or less. This is, the numbers that he has, and it goes on to talk about how many different numbers, how he's just absolutely destroying in the young voter group, and people have not seen these kinds of numbers before, and it truly has shaped up, folks, to be an establishment versus people kind of thing. This is government versus the people. I never thought we'd be at a place of that with the American government. Right? I was telling my dad 5 years ago that the democracy in America had about 400 years. That's what I gave it. I give democracy in America about 400 years before this country falls apart completely and becomes something different entirely. Looks like we're going to evolve it right now. Looks like we're going to change that sucker right now. We have a government that is corrupt. We have a government that is run by big money, that is lying to us, that is convincing us through cable news networks that it's right. And we have a people who've risen behind Bernie Sanders for themselves to take back their nation, and they're using the web to do it because they do not have control of the corporate media propaganda machine. $16 million raised from unemployed or retired folks. If that doesn't tell you they want a change, a drastic change, I don't know what does. Those are the kind of numbers that have to be scaring the shit out of the Hillary campaign. I don't know. You have any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, one thing that should be scaring Hillary Clinton is those numbers where she's raised more money. Most of that was before the campaign started, or a lot of that was, or a lot of that money. Right now, he's raising more money.
Nice.
Spending more money, and I think has as much cash on hand. I'm not positive on that.
Probably. If you guys didn't get the latest email from Hillary, I did. I wish I could find it, but the latest says it again. They keep pushing. It's the worst. It's the worst email campaign ever, because 3 or 4 emails in a row, it's been, well, folks, we've been outspent again. We've been outraised again. Outspent again. What are we going to do about it? Can you give me a buck? It doesn't inspire me one way or the other when you tell me we've been outraised and outspent by a guy who's getting money from poor people, and you're asking me for a buck to help you with your $108 million fund that you can't seem to spend correctly or wisely, that you're getting from people like George Soros. Anybody still voting for Hillary Clinton at this point? Really? That's not been paid? That's not worried about losing a job? Really? That's I don't get it. We're going to move on to Nevada caucus stuff, because this actually is supposed to be about Nevada caucus, and I did use the hashtag Nevada caucus in the title of the show. But this, folks, we talk about weird, strange stuff. The Iowa caucus was coin flips, right? This caucus, they use a high card draw. Just another example of how antiquated and silly our government is. This should be done with an application. It should be open source, built on Unix. And we could take care of all of these things, folks. The reason we don't, the reason our establishment government doesn't change or update any of this stuff is two reasons. Two reasons. It's our fault, okay? It's our fault because we are the government. But when we sit asleep behind the wheel and don't do any driving and let elitist, rich, greedy, white, old gas bags do the driving for decades, we end up with what we have now. We end up with stuff like this, where caucus ties are settled with a high card draw because we're in Nevada and that's fun. Right? This is our government. This is the running of our planet, the survival of our children. It demands more than silly fun ways to decide who the hell is going to run it. We need to build applications, infrastructure, and renew our democracy for the 21st century. Because right now it functions like it's 1850.
Yeah, the antiquation's pretty silly. It's almost, I mean, it seems like it's one of those things that we've been talking about, how there's a chief technology officer, but as far as I know, there's no one that specifically focuses on government being fully and, well, not just fully implemented, but just more than they are now implemented into, you know, the internet and into technology is a different source for these sort of things. The fact that we're still doing a caucus sort of, it's really just very confusing, kind of, for lack of a better term, a clusterfuck, you know? So to me, it's just something that's so antiquated.
Folks.
You know, we might as well be dueling, you know, 5 paces, whoever bleeds out loses the vote. I mean, why? It's just so silly that we're still doing this sort of thing. It's really time to move on. And I think more progressive candidates will bring that change, more or less. So.
Well, right. That's what we're looking for, right? Progressive change, moving forward, not stuck in the past, not incremental establishment changes that just don't happen, right?
Exactly.
Just, I love Killer Mike's words, right? Just wait, Black Lives Matter. Just wait. We'll deal with it. We'll get to it. Just wait. You've been waiting 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Keep waiting. Eventually, y'all be dead anyway. Just wait. Just wait. You know?
Wait until we can poison another generation's mind and try and make them think that there was no problem. Right. That's really what they want to do.
Exactly.
They want that generation to get a little further into the past and try and whitewash the rest of, you know, history in a positive, you know, idea. And you know, obviously that's slipping out of their hands, and they can see that.
Yep, absolutely. And on that note, John, I saw somebody push through a thing that says they need to release the transcripts. I saw that in the slide underneath. The Nevada caucuses are supposedly more organized than the clowns in Iowa. No, that's an interesting statement there. So that's a good point, Cynical Girl. Actually, that is a good point. Millennials are going to have to get up out of bed to go make sure they vote in the caucus if you're night people, because it's early. It's early. The Nevada caucus is early, folks. But this is somebody said that Hillary needs to release the transcripts. That's never going to happen. That's not going to happen. You know it won't happen. She's in the process of being investigated by the FBI. She is doing everything she can to keep a lid on the garbage, to keep a lid on the dirt. It's imploding. It's not working. She's got. If this were a submarine, she's got too many fingers and holes right now. She's got to plug in the leaks. Okay. What were you going to say, Sean?
I don't even remember. That was too good. I totally lost my train of thought. But no, it's true. She's at this point, it's kind of a lost cause. She's almost stuck in the mud, almost, and she realizes there's only one. Like kind of the emails, you know, she's almost throwing a pity party for herself. She realizes she can't really come across as the progressive candidate. She can at least match up with Sanders, but can't get to the left of him. And so she's more of this, like, the next email is going to be like, well, I guess there won't be a woman president. You know,
right,
sigh.
Right.
It's really what they've come down to, is just like, well, you know, I guess you guys really didn't want me, you know. And
Right.
well, yeah, we don't, and she's upset about it.
Right.
Bern Clinton's big, grand scheme, was started, through, Clinton's White House bid is kind of being carried through the Obama administration. And that's where we got all those things, a couple weeks ago when she was trying to be close to Obama and further Sanders by saying they were, opposing each other. Whereas all, Sanders is really trying to do is make sure that to keep them honest, through the primaries. Why would I expect someone to run against Sanders in the primaries? Why? Not because we need necessarily to keep them honest, because when Sanders gets in, he's going to move everyone to the left, and that's going to make more room for even more progressive candidates in the future. So I think that's all just part of, the way this country is going as part of the political revolution.
Nice. I agree. I would agree. It's a good analysis. I think now, to put it simplistically, now that we can communicate with each other and recognize what we want, we're going to shape it that way, and we want a swing back towards the left because we have gone so far right for so long, and just been really ignorant of what's been going on. I mentioned this yesterday, folks, but I didn't have the article pulled up, and this is the perfect time to run the secular talk piece that I wanted to run yesterday, because it is a brilliant rant with very few cuss words that explains exactly why Hillary is established, explains exactly what Bernie's one-issue candidacy is about. But this article really gave me it was like the basis for it. Clintons really don't get it. False attacks and failed strategies, as Hillary repeats 2008. And the one little quote that I mentioned yesterday but didn't get to show you guys, all right, is this right here. It's like the most important line. If you get your news from cable TV, you don't know any of this. What are we talking about? Let's go up here. The 2016 New Hampshire presidential primary was the most significant in the 64-year history of that venerable institution, surpassing even the mythic 1968 battle by which Gene McCarthy drove Lyndon Johnson from office. McCarthy didn't win the nomination, but he did forge a consensus to end what was, until Iraq, our most tragic foreign war. Whether or not Bernie Sanders is nominated, he too is forging a new consensus. The old order is dying, a new one's being born. That is the point. The old is dying. The old doesn't work for the people, and the old is reeling against reality. And if you get your news from cable TV, you're most likely old or conservative, and you don't know any of this. All right? I threw that little piece in there about old or conservative because that is actually what the statistical data shows, that those who are old and conservative, not necessarily both, 24% of Americans are piped into cable network news and have no idea what's happening with the country around them because of the fact that cable network news lies. And we see this over and over and over again. So I just wanted to bring that up because this is a perfect place. Clinton's new anti-Bernie attack ad flops miserably, and this is her attack ad where she basically goes, Bernie wants to, every time we ask Bernie about an issue, he comes back to money and politics. Every time we ask Bernie about an issue, he comes back to money. Why is it always back to money? Don't understand it. You're right, Hillary. You don't understand it because it comes back to you. You are part of the problem. You are the queen of the problem. You are the queen of the establishment problems. Let's listen to Secular Talk really rant well.
Out against Bernie Sanders, and it is an absolute unmitigated disaster.
No bank is too big to fail. No executive too powerful to jail.
You got to break up these huge financial institutions. Attacks on Wall Street speculation. The disastrous and illegal behavior on Wall Street. The wealthiest people, the top 1.5%, the CEOs of Wall Street companies, the rich are getting much richer.
am not a single issue candidate, and I do not believe we live in a single issue country.
Okay, that's such a disaster that on YouTube, they disabled the likes and dislikes, and they disabled the comments. Here's a hint for those of you who don't know about YouTube. When you have to do that, it's because everybody's shitting on your stuff. And I love how people think like, oh, this'll make people think that maybe it's a popular video if I disable the likes and dislikes and disable the comments. No, everybody knows when you do that, it's because people are like, boo, 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 stupid boo, I hate this boo. There's some channels that have it all disabled. Gee, I wonder why. Is it because people love what you have to say, or is it because people absolutely despise it? So now, why is it bad? It's bad because you're making the same mistake you made in 2008, where you're trying to play the, oh, come on, I'm more reasonable, I'm more moderate, I'm more pragmatic. Look at this far lefty who all he cares about is money and politics and Wall Street. Isn't that stupid? I care about everything. Well, number one, that's not true, that he only cares about that. He cares about all the issues. Number two, it's the issue that affects all other issues. So when it comes to, he keeps bringing up Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. What's connected to that? Money and politics, which he also brings up all the time in a political revolution that he wants to wage. You want to know why his message is resonating with people, Hillary? Because people can do the basic breakdown. They might not know all the details of how the corruption works, but they get a general sense of it. So, for example, 80% of the American people want to raise the minimum wage, including a majority of Republicans. So why didn't we get it? Well, the one group of people in the country who don't want to raise it, the multinational corporations, they're the ones with political influence. They're the ones who give campaign contributions. They're the ones who buy the politicians. So the politicians listen to them and disregard the overwhelming majority of the American people. Gun control. 90% of the American people want to do universal background checks. Actually, it's 93% from a poll from about a year ago. 93%. Why didn't we get it? The gun manufacturers pay the NRA. The NRA pays the politicians. The Republicans block anything. So money in politics controls the system. You can go issue for issue, man. Only 17% of Americans wanted to get involved in Syria. We're involved in Syria. Why? They ain't listening to the American people. They're listening to the moneyed interests. The defense contractors are like, yeah, no, we'll make a lot more money if we make more guns and tanks and stuff. So people know. People get the sense of it. They know when Bernie's talking about money in politics, campaign finance, Wall Street owns our politicians, Wall Street does this, Wall Street does that. People are like, yeah, that's what it is. That's why we don't get what we want. We know there's somebody controlling the system, and it ain't us. So when Bernie hammers that and hammers that and hammers that, people know that guy's on my side. That guy's with me. That guy's looking out for me. But then when Hillary comes along and makes arguments like this, you want to know what it looks like? It looks like she's downplaying it. You want to know why it looks like that? Because she's downplaying it. She's like, money in politics, campaign finance reform, Wall Street controlling the politics. Look the other way. Don't worry about that. Why? Sexism, racism. Let's talk about those things. Bernie wants to talk about those things too. He has plans for those things. But you're not going to fix anything in the system in any serious way until you get the money out of the system. People know that. Hillary Clinton thinks she can fool you by trying to pretend like that's not the case. And what this really shows you is Hillary Clinton going to do anything on campaign finance? Is she going to do anything about Wall Street's influence? Fuck no. She takes so much money from them. Why would she do that? This system has made it so she's viable. Without this system of corporate cash propping her up, she ain't viable. So she loves the system. She loves the system. I'm telling you, man, if anything, this ad here helped Bernie Sanders. So I don't know why I'm complaining. Hillary, keep going. Hillary Clinton.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's the second ad we've seen trying to attack Bernie on what he says. And if you keep playing what he says, more people are going to go, yeah, I agree.
It's actually 3 now.
Are there 3?
There's another PAC that's attacking Bernie, and I think it helps him with Democrats again. It would hurt him in the general election with Republicans, but it's not going to hurt him in the primaries. He's going to tax the rich.
Yeah. Right. There's very few people that are going to go, oh, that's terrible, right? I mean, here's the unfortunate part for the 1%. Really is what, 1, 2, 3, 5% of the people that might actually vote that way? I don't certainly want to be taxed. I'm a billionaire. I mean, sorry guys, in general, we have you outnumbered. That's what this really comes down to. We have you outnumbered. You can have as much money as you want, but we have more of us. We're the people. We're the ants. We do the work. You guys, you don't do much. Sorry. Sorry, all you rich billionaires that out there shining your Armani suits and talking about how hard you work to get where you are. I have zero respect for a billionaire businessman who can't afford to pay a living wage to all of their employees. You can't do that. What that tells me is you failed as a businessman because you failed to actually run an upstanding business. You failed to be a steward of industry. We talked about this a little bit. If you're a businessman who's cheap and on the sly and can't afford to pay a living wage, and I, as a small business owner who's closed his small business down because I could not pay my one employee fair wages, okay, I don't want to hear anybody who owns a small business whine or complain or tell me what I don't know what I'm talking about. I went into heavy debt running a small business, trying to pay people right, trying to do the right thing. Okay, business is hard. It shouldn't be easy for you to start up a business. Okay, business is difficult. So for all you billionaires and millionaires out there, they're like, well, that's ridiculous. I don't want to get. You have it easy. You know you have it easy. You have no idea what it takes to really run a real business. I'll call out every businessman right now not paying a living wage to their employees right now that you are not a businessman. You're a cheapskate. You're an easy slider. You're a moocher, and you have no idea how to actually run a real business. Those that are paying living wages, and there was this one guy, I'd love to find the company. I'd love to get him on the show.
I remember that.
There was this one guy who basically raised all of his, in one shot. They were a credit card something company. I don't know what they did, but in one shot, he's like, everybody's going to get this much an hour. And it just dramatically changed it. You know what happened? That dude's business, like, tripled. He's got more business. His company's flourishing. His employees love him. He's doing great. That's a steward of industry. That's a guy that ignored what Wall Street and financial interest was telling him, ignored the greed, and realized, I don't want to be a greedy business owner who screws people like the vast majority of business owners. Vast. Okay. All you Fortune 500s and you shiny suits being so proud of yourselves, you're generally all pieces of shit because you do not pay a living wage. And as a small business owner who's failed, I can say that. All right?
All right. Well,
yep.
Well, I agree with the sentiment in the rant. Also, I really like Bernie's answer about being called a one-issue candidate, saying that you must not have gone to any Sanders rallies because I don't talk about just one issue for an hour and a half.
Right, right. Yeah, you did say that. You're right. That was a beautiful statement by him, and it was like, yeah, I don't know.
All the press there was saying, yeah, that's because a lot of them are so they hate the fact that it's an hour and a half every time.
I mean, you've been doing this a long time. Is it unusual what he does with his rallies?
The time he speaks longer than most candidates.
He does. And does he do more speaking than you've ever seen a candidate do?
I don't know. I think Obama probably did a lot of speaking too.
He did the same kind of thing?
Strength. Yeah.
Okay.
It was Obama's strength, the lofty speeches, so that he wasn't going to just have one event a day like Hillary.
Right. So yeah, and that's the big difference in the schedules, folks. Hillary's got one high plate dinner a day, right? Or one very secure meeting with some black people or some minority people in a place, right? Or whatever it is she's got going on, meeting with Wall Street executives to let them know that everything's going to be fine, meeting with her super PAC people that she's not to be coordinating with, but we know that Correct the Record coordinates with them now because they found a way to get around it, right? But yeah, big difference. Bernie Sanders gives really, really long rally speeches, and if you really think he talks about one issue the whole time, no. What he does is relate all of the other issues he talks about to the one root cause. There's causes and there's symptoms.
Yeah.
And that's really what we have to look at it. This we're diagnosing a sick government. So look at it like a doctor. When you come on, you look at it as, well, what do we have here? We have poverty. Well, is that a cause? What causes poverty? Lack of money. All right, so that comes back to income inequality. All right, what do we have here? We have government controlling itself, the people with no voice. Is that a cause? No, it's a symptom. What is that a symptom of? Money in politics. Is that a cause? Is money in politics the cause? What is the cause of money in politics? No, it's a symptom. What is the cause? Income inequality. Because when you have rich fuckers that can buy themselves into an election, you end up with a bunch of people in politics that control the system. Cause, root. Okay? It's just that you have to look at it this way like troubleshooters. You have to look at it with a little more intelligence than the average establishment politician, and no offense, but the average establishment voter looks at it as. Right? Establishment voters have been indoctrinated for so long. And I was a victim to this indoctrination, folks. Big Hillary fan before I realized that the entire establishment works together to keep themselves in power. All right. Yes, there are more of us. Exactly. You pause. But you know, Bernie Sanders broke down what he means. You've got a cause. The root cause of all of our issues is income inequality. The most vast difference in income inequality ever in the United States of America, probably ever in the history of civilized nations. Right? And in order to fix all of the symptoms, we can, these incremental changes that Hillary talks about are slapping Band-Aids on bullet wounds. Oh, there's poverty, here's a Band-Aid. There's immigration, here's a Band-Aid, right? Oh, look, that's money in politics. Here's a gauze bandage with a little Neosporin. We'll leave that alone for a while. Hopefully it won't get infected, right? And what Bernie's saying is, we got a sick thing here. We got a really sick entity, and it's dying, and we need to fix it quick. A little Band-Aid here and a Band-Aid there isn't going to work. We got like stage 4 cancer. We need chemo. We need radiation, radical radiation. We need to free our government of this cancer. The cancer is income inequality. That's the cause. Everything else that happens from that, everything else is a symptom of the cause. So when anybody says Bernie's a one-issue candidate, no, that wasn't good. When anybody says Bernie's a one-issue candidate, you say yes, the one issue that matters, the cause, the root cause of our government failing today. Hey, just so you guys, just the counter. 14 days, 15 hours, 37 minutes. That's how long Hillary's been looking into that. Last few things, guys. Hillary Clinton got booed last night in the forum, and I wanted to reach through the screen and just grab her head and bounce it like a basketball and toss it. I couldn't believe she said it. She basically said Bernie Sanders didn't decide to be a Democrat until 2016 or whatever, until he ran. Such a ridiculous statement to make. I don't care what he calls himself, and I really don't care what party he runs for. The only reason he had to choose Democrat, Hillary, and you know this, is because it was the only way in our rigged system that he would have a chance in hell. But I would much prefer that Bernie started a new party called the Progressive Party, the People with Brains Party, the People that give a shit about other people Party. Any of those words would be better than the Democratic Party. Because
I don't think he'll start a new party, but I did like he at least acknowledged that there needs to be reform on the electoral system, and he said that Democrats and Republicans should acknowledge that we need to open up the democracy a little more. He didn't go into any specifics, so I wish he did a little more. It was during the forum last night. Someone asked.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and because a lot of progressive in the beginning just kept saying that he was sheepdogging independents and Greens and everything into the Democratic Party, and that was his role. And I think that they should have been reassured that he wants to open up the political process.
Yeah, but you're talking about the people, right? Because the establishment certainly doesn't want any of that to happen, right? I think yeah, he really did. I wish we could grab some portions of what was said last night. I really thought he had one of his best nights last night, and actually I grabbed some screenshots. Let me see if I still have them. There were some other things I was supposed to tell you. Chasing Bernie. I forgot the whole Chasing Bernie. Oh, and look, the sun's out. Hang on, give me a second, guys. Where is Bernie? Here's where Bernie is. Scott's going to be at some of these things. Right? So we obviously missed the Elko town meeting and the 1 p.m. Future to Believe in. If I'm looking in Slack right now, guys, and I'm not seeing anything from the ground team, so I don't know if we have that. We'll look around for a feed. If there is a feed, I will go live with it, although you would think that'd be, is that 1 p.m.? That's Vegas time, so it's 1 p.m. Pacific. And then this is the evening thing that no, this isn't even the evening thing. This is another one at 4 p.m., right?
Where is it?
This other one at 4 p.m. is a concert and rally in Henderson Pavilion.
It's not till 8 o'clock. The 4 p.m. is when the doors open.
Oh, so that is the 8 o'clock one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this says program runs from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, listen, we've got there's some time confusion here, folks, but there is the later rally. You're going to be there, right, Scott?
Yeah, I got a confirmation of after I filled out the RSVP form, and it says the concert starts at 8, and it says that the latest the media can get in the door is 7:30. So there's no way it's starting at 6.
Okay. So just somebody said it in comments, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, because what I'm doing here, so that I don't piss off a bunch of people, is sometimes we don't get notice of a stream until like 5 minutes before. And so I'm not going to create any events until I know for certain that I have a stream. So when Scott gets on location and he's like, I'm set up, here's what's happening, and here's when I'll be able to bring you live feed, then I will create an event. All right. But the best way to know that we've got something going on is to subscribe, because it could happen 5 minutes before we actually go live. And honestly,
let me set up about 6 or 7 hours before the.
Oh, jeez. So are you gonna be able to get like interviews or anything out there, or are you gonna try? Anybody out there to get interviews?
Possibly.
Yeah.
A lot of times the risers so far from where the celebrities and
right
are, and they go right off stage after they're done speaking. So.
Well, so yeah, whatever you can do, that'd be great. It's good that you'll be down there for a long time, though. Appreciate that.
I'm gonna set up and leave till about 6 or so. I'm not gonna stay there the whole time.
Are you gonna go hit Pai Gow again? You gonna go try to raise some more money for travel? See what you can do there. I'm looking at the comments here, guys. Is there a hashtag we want to be following today? Is there something that the accounts that Bernie is pushing? You guys seen anything?
I haven't seen anything from Aiden yet.
Okay, I'm sure we'll get something from Aiden, guys, and tomorrow will be the big push. Nevada caucus. If you're in Nevada, get your butt up early. Get down there. It starts at what, noon? Polls open at noon?
No, doors open. They shut the doors at noon, and that's when it starts. Yeah.
Oh, geez, they shut the doors at noon, folks. So you've got to get up earlier, probably, than you're used to doing in Vegas if you work nights and stuff. And you need to get your butt down there before the door closes at noon. The Iowa caucus door closed later in the day. This is early, noon. So we should have results by what, like 2?
Yeah, more than likely. And
okay,
if you're running late, as long as you're in line by noon, you're fine.
There you go. Running late. As long as you're in line by noon, you're fine. If you're in Nevada and you're hearing us, we want to broadcast this. So if you've got a Periscope feed, if you've got a video clip of the lines wherever you are, record what you can, folks. Send it to us at BTV Live, hashtag BTV Live. I'll be looking for that stuff so we can broadcast it tomorrow. We need to protect the truth. We need to record these things so we make sure that no BS goes down. All right? We're expecting this to be a close caucus, and just like Iowa, we need to make sure there's no bullshit, and expect bullshit, because not because we're expecting certain individuals to be corrupt, but because this is such an antiquated system, such an antiquated, funky, outdated system, never designed to really handle the influx of people that it's seeing this year for this election. All right, so we need to record it. We need to be careful. We need to be sure that what we're doing is right. And if you are in Nevada and you're ready to change your country, please get up and go vote for Bernie Sanders. Get up and go caucus for Bernie Sanders tomorrow. I'll be broadcasting all day in support of you guys. We're going to have various people in and out of here, you know, having fun, talking with each other. I just got a message from Miles. Hey, Miles, I don't know if you're in chat or not, but I would love to have, let's do an hour tomorrow. Let's just take your rundown, your docs that you sent us, and let's just talk about them for an hour tomorrow during the streamathon. So, guys, we'll have Miles Dyer from the UK, certainly dashing, much better to look at, doesn't use as many cuss words, and far more eloquent in speaking. So we'll have him tomorrow to do a whole bunch of talking about stuff that he sent me. And yes, get high after you vote. So I always like cutting over to comments, and I see the first thing that pops up. And that was the first thing that pops up. That says, yes, get high after you vote. I definitely suggest getting high after you vote. Make sure you vote very straight of mind so that you don't make any wrong choices or any weird decisions. Get there at the right time in the caucus. But feel free to light up immediately afterwards.
Don't promote and then go to the caucus, and then the Hillary people will offer you brownies and just switch camps.
Everybody, my lovely wife is leaving for taking off down the road to go to Corvallis. She just came in to say hi. I just want to take a few seconds to say thank you to her, because if she wasn't here working her job and actually paying the vast majority of the bills, this would not exist. So the original financer of Bernie 2016 TV is Lori. So there you go. She's really the CEO. She's Jane Fonda in the newsroom. All right. that's if I'm Charlie, she's Jane Fonda. Sorry, but anyway, we were talking about the Nevada caucus and the bottom line. What? Go ahead.
I'll be in one of the at-large caucus rooms, which it's a big room, so I should be able to film there. What happened in Iowa is it didn't matter. The room was so full that I couldn't really film. There was no. Just people in front of me, and.
So you're going to bring us footage from this caucus. You'll be able to film You'll be broadcasting it.
Yeah.
That'll be fantastic. That'll be fantastic, folks. Look at it's 10:30.
Film in Iowa, but it was so packed in the room that there was no room to film.
I hope that's in a way. I hope that's the case here. You know what I mean?
It's
really. Go ahead.
They're at Bally's and Tropicana, big rooms, so it's not an elementary school gym that doesn't have anything any room on the sides or anything. It's just the gym itself.
Right. Right. Okay, so it should be big enough. Enough. More on Chasing Bernie, folks. Really quick. Here's information on where he's going to be Sunday. He will be back in South Carolina. Don't know if we'll have a feed yet. Just know that we've got a Sunday Future to Believe in Greenville rally. And so that's where he'll be. If you're in South Carolina, join the show. Want to help us out? We may or may not have a feed, like I said, and we may not know until 5 minutes before this happens. So as always, subscribe to get your fix of Bernie daily. We understand how necessary that is. We're going to go. Before we go, I want to say thank you to everybody. I'm looking at great comments today. I think the show is finally settling on what it needs to be. Of course, we'll continue to evolve and change and look at your comments and get better at all of this stuff here. We're going to end with the Disability TV full song. And this is something that I haven't had on my radar because there isn't a calendar event created for it. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist, basically, in terms of live events. But this is an amazing story of what happens in this organization. We had Denise Silva, who's a disabled human being, come into the organization as a volunteer and say, I want to help you. I want to learn how Bernie TV works. She learned how to be comment monitor and then moderator and then co-host and then host. And then she said, I'm going to build my own show. And she did. She's got a rundown created. She's got a full crew. She's got graphics. She's got intro. She put it all together with the help of other volunteers in Bernie 2016 TV. And this is the offer to anybody who wants to create a show. You can come in, learn the ropes, get yourself trained, build a crew, and we'll do a show. That's what this is here for, other than chasing Bernie. It's to give everybody, every group, a voice. The limitation we have is me, my time, my ability to be here, and your guys' ability to do this all for free, because we're all doing this for free. So I just want to say how amazed I am at Denise. We've had other people take on this kind of responsibility, like Pat Spray for Native Life, and we wish Pat the best. I hope you are safe, Pat. I hope you're okay, and I hope you're well, because I know how much you'd worked yourself sick to both maintain your job and do what you were doing for Native Life. And Pat was basically doing Native Life without a crew. So Denise has put this together. She's an amazing human being. So glad to have her and everybody else in our Bernie TV environment. But we're going to end with this, the full Disability TV. The first show of that is next week, February 24th. I want to say 7. I loaded up the graphic so I could tell you for real. Or I didn't load up the graphic and I was gonna. Give me 1 second. We'll load up the graphic. She got this great graphic made by Steph. Right? Here we go. This actually has the information on it. Disability TV, February 24th, live at 7 p.m. Eastern. This is what we got going on, folks. This is the kind of programming that I want to do. This is the kind of programming that would never get put on establishment media because they won't be able to run enough commercials on it or make enough ratings or whatever reason they'd give. Right? Doesn't fit a market demo that they can target. Right? And the reason I want to do these shows is because we need to have these discussions. The only way we inform the electorate together is by having these discussions. And so I welcome anybody that wants to come to BTV and build their own show. Just know we're limited by resources. Thank you, Denise, for putting this together. Thank you, Sean and Scott, for being here with me today and putting together a great show. Everybody in comments, fantastic chat today. Really glad you were all here. Thank you so much for being with us as we evolve, for being with Bernie. We are Bernie. We are together in this, and we will change our nation together. Here's Disability TV full tune, created by Denise Silva. And I at the end it tells you the credits of who actually made this tune. But this is the beauty of the American people. This is the beauty of human beings in general, because this was a global effort. Global effort, folks. This is a small example of what we can do together. Feel the burn.
Doors wide open, looking to the ground. Time to jump, turn back around. Got a feeling that this can really be just one step forward. I'll be free, I'll be free. Oh, thought I had to be something I'm not. on. Why do we feel we got to live this way? Life's a rhythm, it's a game that we all play. I'm ready, be who I am, I'm ready, do the best I can. I'm ready to be free, I'm ready. They know which way to go down these so many roads. You go your way, I go mine. Maybe they'll come together some other times. I'm ready, be who I am, I'm ready. Come if you can. I'm ready to be free, I'm ready.
Huge